Hello and welcome to Backstage Goss, the podcast where we dive into the entertainment world. Not just the red carpets and glitter, but the panic, the tears, the questionable career choices, and the what was I thinking moments too. We're talking to real people with real dreams, surviving the highs, the lows, and the occasional identity crisis along the way. So, grab your popcorn. This is going to be fun. Today we meet Natalie Fox and she talks to us about the hair and makeup business within the TV and film industry. And believe me, it's not all it's cracked up to be. She may have been on Loose Women this morning, but there's a lot of nepotism.
Hi, I'm Natalie Fox and I am a hair and makeup artist for TV and film.
Oh my gosh, Nat, it's good to see you. Can you remember all those shows we used to do way back in the day?
I know, doing all those pantomimes.
Well, I'm so pleased you agreed to come on Backstage Goss and give us the insight to the hair and beauty industry. So, what's your journey? How did you get started?
Okay, so I never even thought this was a job. As you know from me being a youngster, that I wanted to be a dancer, wanted to be a performer, wanted to be anything sort of in the performing arts, and that's basically what I had my heart set on as a kid, was always training. It was one of those things that I always wanted to do, but I never, I kind of knew deep down that potentially like a career in that sort of field maybe wouldn't have worked out. And then I wasn't the right build, shall we say, for a professional dance career. And no matter how much I trained or whatever, that was always a struggle for me growing up. So I kind of knew that deep down, but it never stopped me. I was determined. I was doing it. I was doing it regardless. God bless my mother for taking me to everything. So I did that until I think when I was about 16, I was doing one of the local shows with Charlotte Hamilton's, and basically not even really sure what happened. My foot got stuck on the stage. I went down, my knee didn't pop, basically did the ligaments in my knee. Long story short, that wasn't fixed for ages, and then by the time they come to fix it, it was ruptured. So I had to have a really extensive operation on that. And then that they always said to me, oh, you'll still be able to dance, blah, blah, blah. But it was never the same. So,
oh my gosh, that must have been devastating. I mean, knowing that, your dream was to actually become a dancer and now everything's thrown up in the air because of a knee injury.
I kind of started to think, oh God, what am I going to do with my life now? I was like, well, that's that out the window. But when we used to do all the dance shows, cheerleading competitions, stuff like that, I was always doing everyone's hair and makeup. Even when we went to America, getting sponsored for all these glitters, and it was always part of what all the stuff that I used to love doing was part of the performing. So my mum was kind of like, well, what is there not anything that you could do, theatre makeup, that kind of thing? And I was like, I don't know. I don't know. Sort of typical teenager. So we found a college course in Nottingham that did, it was a level 2 media makeup course, but they wouldn't let you do it until you were 19. And
Did they give you any reasons as to why?
I don't know, actually. I have no idea. Because it wasn't a higher education course or anything. It was literally an MVQ. So I was like, well, once I've got something in my head, that's it, I'm doing it. So my mum was like, okay, well, we'll have to find it somewhere else. So I went to do it at Stamford College, because because it was a level 3, that's why. So Stamford College, which was 45 minutes to an hour away from my house, did a level 2 and a level 3. So I was like, right, well, I've got to go there then, because I didn't want to do A-levels. I wasn't interested in any of that. I was academic. I just hated it. I hated school. I was It was one of those that you try. I went to a very strict like grammar school. You try and express yourself, you get suspended. So, which I did multiple times. But still got the GCSEs.
But that was a bit of luck, wasn't it, eh?
Yeah. Still got the GCSEs, so it's fine. So yeah, so I was kind of like, I need to get out of here. I need some kind of expressive outlet, and if I can't do dance anymore, then I need to do something in that kind of industry. So we managed to find out a way of me going to Stanford to do the level two about a few weeks before they cancelled the course. So they were like, you can do beauty therapy and we'll give you 6 weeks of makeup at the end. And I was like,
I bet they offered you something else and promised you the world, didn't they?
so they made a lot of promises to us anyway. So I ended up doing the course anyway, which, long run, not been a bad thing. It's a lot of transferable skills, so it's fine. But at the time, I was like, I don't want to do beauty. But I did. So I went and I did it. And then we had a 6 week module at the end where they gave us another qualification in makeup. So I met a lady called Heather White who taught that, who had previous experience with like fashion and like stuff like that. Anyway, she was so inspiring to me at the time. I worked my ass off. And then she was like, right, I've got this makeup kit that whoever works the hardest is going to get it as like student of the year. I was like, I'm having it.
You were that determined.
I'm having it. I was like, yeah, I'm having it. So I did. And I worked my ass off in that 6 weeks because I was like, I've been so bored all year doing manicures, pedicures, waxing. It's like, God, if I see another vagina, I'm gonna be, I'm done. So yeah, I mean, fortunately, I got all my friends to do the pedicures as well. I was like, I'm not touching random people's feet, no way. Anyway, so then did that, loved it. I was like, yeah, this is it. This is what I want to be doing. So then we did a level three course, which was basically the step up from what they promised us the year before. Now, don't get me wrong, I loved doing makeup and this, but again, maybe being in a school environment wasn't right for me because I was, not tooting my own horn, like academically bright. So when I'm not in a structured sort of like environment, I start to rebel because I'm bored. So I didn't get on with the teacher at all, which, it became a whole thing. But again, I worked really hard. Like I really wanted to do the course, and I decided in that time that I wanted to go to university to do sort of like further my makeup career, and obviously did, like, at the time it's like, what do you do after college? You go to uni, right? So I was like, well, I have to go to uni then, not knowing anything about the industry, whether it was beneficial, that kind of thing. So I'd set my sights on the hardest one to get into, London College of Fashion, and I was like, I'm going, I have to go. So basically then I found out the course that I'd done, because they changed the course again. And because it was a BTEC, like production arts makeup or something, you didn't have the UCAS points to get into uni. So I was like, here we go, knock back again. So I was like, right, what am I going to do now? So basically, one of the entry requirements you could do was a foundation art degree, which my brother also previously did in Nottingham. So I spoke to them and I was like, is this something I could specialize in? And they were like, yeah, for sure. Like we've had maybe one or two people do it where they've wanted done like do prosthetics and stuff like that. And I was like, but I don't want to do that. I don't want to do prosthetics. So they were like, okay, they were like, just do it. We'll see what happens. You might find that you want to do something else, this, that, and the other. So I joined the course in Nottingham, did an art foundation degree. Again, wasn't massively interested when it was like the whole spectrum of art, because again, it's not what I wanted to do, so I wasn't interested. But then we got to specialize in like certain aspects of art. So I joined the fashion cohort, and obviously a lot of them in there wanted to be fashion designers, fashion photographers, and I was like, wow, this is it. And I had an incredible teacher there as well called Caroline, and she just, when someone just nurtures you in the right way, and she would push me to do like loads of I was doing everyone's photo shoots. I was doing makeup for all the girls' shoots. I was doing all my own shoots. We were pushing boundaries. It was so much fun. And I think having that art background then started to push me in different directions. And I was like, okay, well, this is obviously something I really love. So maybe I want to do that. And then I started to think about TV and film. And I was like, maybe I do want to do prosthetics because I think that's the only way that you can get into film. So then I started looking at universities and the I went to quite a few open days, I think, but London College of Fashion was still the one. So I went in with the idea. So they did three different courses. They did a 3-year BA, which was basically heavy prosthetics kind of thing. And it was like, yeah, we spend 12 weeks sculpting. And I was like,
12 weeks?
12 weeks. Little did I know at the time, undiagnosed ADHD. So I was like, 12 weeks on one thing. I was like, no way. So talked me out of that one. And then on the way into then they did two FDAs, which was a 2-year with a 1-year top up to a BA. So they did two. They did one was fashion and editorial, and they did a TV and film one. So I'd gone in with then the thought of doing TV and film. But on the way in, the tutor for the fashion hair and makeup one came up to me and she was like, "Oh, you're going to be doing my course then, aren't you?" And I was like, "Sorry?" She was like, "Are you here to like check out the fashion and editorial one?" I was like, "No." I was like, "But I can." So anyway, so got chatting to her. Anyway, came out of the talk and I was like, "Yeah, that's what I'm doing." I was like, "I don't need to see any other course." I was like, "That's what I'm doing. I'm going this, that, and the other." So my sights were on that course, and I think
How many places did they have open?
there was something like 15 places because they have so many international students because obviously it makes them so much money, that there was only 15 slots, I think, for like British students. So I was like, well, I'm having one. So I went back all sort of like pepped up, ready to go, focused really hard on my portfolio, went back, had my interviews. I think I went to LCF, went to Bournemouth, Southampton, this, that, and the other, and I mean, I don't even think I got interviews of 2 out of the 5.
Can you remember your first interview? I mean, where was that at?
So LCF was my first interview, and I remember I was petrified. And it's like you feel like, right, your whole life's like on this now. And I was like, this is it. I was like, this is my audition now. So, I've got to nail it. So I'd gone in. It was the same tutor that I'd talked to at the open day, and a guy that was with her, and we were chatting, and I was going through all my portfolio and all the art references that I'd been doing on my course. Like you could just see her eyes like twinkling away, and this, that, and the other. And then
When you're sitting there and you can see her being receptive to what you're saying, I mean, how was you really feeling?
I remember just being like literally like petrified the whole time. And then when I went to leave, I was like, "Oh, how long's like the wait to find out sort of thing?" And she was like, "Oh, you don't need to worry about that."
Oh, wow. Well, that could have gone one or two ways. Well, what did you think?
But I took it as a like, "Oh, you don't need to worry about that because you're not coming." So I was like, "Oh, well, yeah." So then I'd come out devastated, like to my mum, like, "Oh no, they don't want me." Oh. So I just thought I'd absolutely screwed it up. Um, so then I went and had other interviews, wasn't really bothered, but kind of showed an interest, because I thought obviously now London's not going to happen. They took 8 weeks to let me know. 8 weeks. I've heard from every other uni, every other thing, giving me offers, this, that, and the other. But then I ended up getting an unconditional offer for LCF. And I was just like, yeah. So the way she was saying, "Oh, you don't need to worry about that," is tick, you're in. Like, but I didn't see it at that at all. And I think because they'd made me wait so long, um, it was crazy. So anyway, so then the year started, but a lot of the sort of like practice, it was very, obviously it's a university course, so it was very sort of theoretical, but not even in makeup and hair theory. It was
A lot of academic mumbo jumbo, I think. I think's the phrase.
Yeah, like I mean, I was like, what have I done now? Why am I here? This is not what I want. I wanted to do pretty makeups. Um, so kind of had a bit of a spiral sort of halfway through my first year and was chatting to my tutor, the one that I got on really well with, and she was like, "Look, you can have a chat with the TV and film tutor, see if you wanna swap." So I had a chat with her, and she was like, "Nat," she was like, "You've kind of already like practically done everything that we would teach you anyway," which I don't think I had. She was like, "If I'm honest," she was like, "I think you're better off quitting uni and just moving to London and starting to work on your own." And I was like,
Oh my God, that's an admission, isn't it? Taught you everything that they were going to be able to teach you. Well, I mean, that's fantastic in one respect.
"Oh, how?" Like, who's got that much money that can just like just get up and move to London and just start working? I was like, how do I do that? And she was just like, but she was just so unbothered, and it really stuck with me that I was like, she just didn't care. Like, you know what I mean? When someone's just not bothered, like they're not invested in you at all. So I was like, well, I was like, I've started now, so I'm gonna finish it. So I did my 2 years with the extra top up, but my tutor was amazing and she kept putting me forward for opportunities that weren't necessarily for my course, or they were coming through for graduates or something like that. So she kind of sneaked them to me left, right, and center. But I would always get really frustrated that I was always like a B plus and never an A plus. And I always remember her saying to me, "It doesn't matter, Natalie, because nobody's CV is going to be like yours by the end of this course." So she was like, "Please stop worrying about those letters." And I was like, "But I want to be the best at it." And she was like, "I'm telling you, those letters on the paper don't mean that you're the best." So she was like, "Chill, just carry on doing what you're doing." She was like, "Look, if you want me to mark that you're here when you're not here anymore, just carry on doing what you're doing and stop whinging, all right?" So she was so good to me, like so good, putting me forward for all these opportunities. I was doing bits in the West End, and then when I'd started doing that, obviously you meet people. So then I was going around theatre stage doors, handing in my CV, like begging anyone for any kind of work experience.
You know, I'm amazed that you actually knew to do that because not every student's got that aptitude to think, oh, do you know what? How do I get to work?
Just yeah, I was like, well, I'm in London now. I need to make the most of my time here. I got to do a graduate scheme whilst I was in my first year at this morning. So I did 2 weeks there. So I got my first sort of like live TV experience with those at ITV. Um, and I think that, yeah, so then I met people there that then led on to Loose Women. So I went and did some work experience with them, and I was like, oh, I was like, this is where it's at. This is what I want to be doing. So um started to get the bug for it. I kind of knew theatre wasn't necessarily for me. I mean, I wasn't going to knock it. I went and had interviews for Lion King and this, that, and the other. And then I started not getting the jobs. And I was like, why am I now not getting the jobs? But I was finding out that it was all like, oh, well, this person's friends got it, or this person knows this person from this show. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, well, what am I meant to do about that? Like, I can't do anything about that if they know them. It was just obviously they have to tick boxes and do interviews and stuff like this. So I was starting to get knockbacks, and I was like, okay, this isn't easy. Like, this is actually really hard. But I was trying to make as many contacts as I could doing sort of fashion shows and stuff like this, and obviously assisting at Fashion Week. And there's no money,
You kidding?
literally nothing. So by the time I'd finished my third year, I was like, well, I can't stay here. Like, I was working at the Disney store at the weekends, just trying to, because the student loan was rubbish, had no money. So I was like, I'm just gonna have to move back to Nottingham. And I was like, I don't really know what to do with myself now. Um, so I moved home and back to Newark and was just like, oh, what, what, what do I do now? Like, I've just done 3 years of a degree. I've had this amazing opportunity working, doing bits in the West End, doing all these incredible photo shoots and fashion shows. And I was like, now I'm back in Newark, of all places. Like, you know what I mean? It is so small town, isn't it? There's nothing. There's nothing. And I was so frustrated. And
I suppose when you think back, on the work experience that you did, you just never know who's in those rooms, do you? You just don't know. Because work comes along, doesn't it? That's how most people get it. You're doing one job, you do well on that job. People put a word in for you, and you can see where the nepotism comes from. But that's usually the way it works.
oh, massively. I mean, at the time, I kind of wish I knew about it more and I knew how important it would be, but you never know who's going to be in that room. You literally never ever know who is looking at you, what you're doing, who you're making a cup of tea for, whose brushes you're cleaning. You don't know who these people are, and when you're at the bottom, you just don't get it. And it's like the rooms I was in, there was massive makeup designers, there were, people that would potentially be giving me jobs in the future. And, yes, I made some mistakes. Sometimes I went in and I did have, a bit of a ugh, like ugh, kind of thing. I'm here, kind of walked into it, but that sticks. Like there are people that then ask for recommendations, and I remember one time I'd asked for another theatre. I had a horrible, horrible ex-boyfriend, horrible, and there was one day that I think he'd been really horrible to me, and I was texting him all the time, like this, that, and the other. And then I'd applied for another um West End show for work experience, and they'd asked the last show that I'd done that with for a reference, and they were like, "Nah, she was on her phone the whole time.
Oh my God, just shows you, doesn't it? What will come back and bite you on the arse.
Didn't get it. Didn't get it." And then that sticks. She's not bothered. She's not bothered. And I was like, I was so bothered. I was so bothered. Like, and then I found that out through someone else later on down the line, and I was devastated, absolutely devastated, because that's the type of thing that then stops you getting jobs in the future, because they're just like, and now I see it now with trainees coming in, and they're just like, like, I've done my course now. I'm a makeup artist, and it's like, no, it's not how it's not how it works. Um,
When you come out as a student or as a graduate, you've got to have that right mindset to actually get out there and door knock. That's what we used to do years ago. Yeah, just knock on doors to see if there's any business. I mean, obviously that's what you did.
oh God, yeah, 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 yeah. I went to every single theatre in London and gave them my CV. And if I couldn't get through the stage door, I was hunting down people's contact details on Facebook. This was like before Instagram, I think. So, it was Facebook, it was websites, it was theatre programs I could find just to see. I mean, I even ended up accidentally emailing the makeup designer for Wicked, who actually designed the show in New York. And he was like, look, I really admire your spirit. He said, I can't help you right now, but, keep going, because whatever you're doing will pay off eventually. And he said,
Did you reach out to him after you finished?
I did for a little bit, yeah, yeah. And then I can't even remember what he's doing now. But yeah, just periodically just checking back in with people. And also when you it's also important that once you get those details, like, it might just not have been the right time, or they might have been busy and not replied, and you know, you can then not pester people, but remind them, just be like, hey, I'm still looking. Like, don't take no or no reply as a knockback. But again, when you're starting out, it's so hard to not take everything personally, because I mean, I still kind of do.
That's just the nature of the beast, though, isn't it? You're on the
Yeah,
first rung of the
there's a lot
ladder.
of no.
You've got no work history as such. So it's always going to be hard, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh my God, it's fight or flight, constant. Like it never ends. And I mean, we'll obviously get into that situation like my work now, but that fear,
I suppose at the end of the day, what you need to do is take those knockbacks. How lucky have you been? I mean, have you managed to keep yourself busy?
um, yeah, so I obviously from when I've started, I was very lucky. I worked my arse off, did all my qualifications. I have basically been back to back to back to back to back on jobs ever since I started with very little. I think the biggest downtime I had was COVID. Um, the minute the industry opened, I was straight back in it. Worked all the way through it, apart from nearly dying of COVID. Um,
Are you kidding? You nearly died.
yeah, no, I went back to work and caught COVID and was like hospitalized really bad. But the minute I was then back out of the hospital, I was straight back in with me inhaler ready to go. Um, but yeah, so I've been I say touch wood, I've been lucky, but lucky in the sense that I worked really, really, really hard to get to where I needed to be and all the extra. So basically, what happened was obviously I'd done my degrees and stuff like that. And then once you actually get working in TV and film, you realize that it's not just pretty, pretty makeup. Like it's 80% hair, I would say. So I'd be going out as a trainee work experience and being like, oh my God, everyone's doing hair. Like, I don't know how to do hair. I'd done a bit of styling at uni, but nothing major. So then I went and did another hair cutting course. And then I did an apprenticeship whilst being a trainee. So I was doing a TV series in Manchester and then going back to Leicester to do an apprenticeship in a salon, like literally up and down the motorway, like constant. There wasn't a spare minute that I wasn't hustling for that. And I was doing extra courses. I was doing whatever I could find that would fill those gaps in my training. I was trying to do it. I was doing work experience on wigs, because again, that's massively a part of the industry. Um,
Wigs for real.
mm,
I suppose yeah, when you look at it,
hmm
yeah.
Because theatre as well, obviously, a lot of them just do their own makeup, so the majority of theatre work will be wigs. Um,
What's involved in doing wigs then?
Setting them, styling them, dressing them, applying them, and then by the time they all come off at the end of the day, you've got to reset them all, stuff like that. But in TV as well, a lot of people wear wigs. So yeah, it's a whole niche in itself, really. But yeah, I went and did more courses on that, and then I just never stopped. Like I was always, whenever I'd done a job, I'd do a course the minute I'd finished. It was, or if I could try and do one at the same time as working, or I'd be trying to learn stuff on the job. It's just constant, and I feel like it still is. Like I will still now go and keep up with training because the industry is so progressive. You can drop the ball so fast, and it's so saturated now as well that you can't drop the ball because right now there's no work, but everybody's free. So people are having handpick of whoever. Like you have to be on top of your game at all times.
You say that, but has there ever been a time where you've thought, "Oh my gosh, I've got to put more time in," or where's the next job coming from?
Um, I think because I have always been back to back, I'll be really, really honest. I've never massively had to worry about it. I think the year before last, there was a dip in the industry, and I started to be like, oh, I haven't got that much work. Like, this is crazy. But I still managed to find myself on a job or a film, or, there was always something that filled the gap, um, because I knew people, or, I was, because I do work really hard, I feel like that does put me in a good position then when people are hiring or they need extra people, or I can go out as a daily and just like help out. And you know, the bills got paid, but then I finished a film, a very like a big film that's coming out this year, last September, and I took maybe I think it was 8 weeks out to do have an operation. And then I thought I was going to be doing now this is also a big part of the industry, thinking you're going to do a job. So, you know, you put things, you turn down other work, you know, sort your life around it. Um, so then I thought, right, I'm going to be doing this 3 month job in Manchester, um, and it'll all be fine because you know it's just I can ease back into it after the operation. It's nothing too crazy. I'm not running around after like a leading lady on a Hollywood film. You know, it's chill. It's with my friends. It'll be great. Anyway, for one reason or another, that didn't happen, and I was like, oh, okay. Right. So that's like 12 weeks of income that has now just disappeared from my life. That I'd like all over Christmas, you know. And it's like I live on my own with a mortgage and you know, this and the other, like nobody's paying my bills. So everyone's like, oh, you're always busy. I'm like, no, I have to be. I have to be always busy. Nobody's paying these bills. I mean, granted, my mum's paid a few for the last few months, but you know, um, it's I have to work my ass off because I'm very fortunate that, you know, I have been busy for so long and I've bought myself a nice apartment and you do get used to a nice lifestyle because the money is great, but the hours are insane and you know, you work hard, so spending hard's part of it, but then obviously you get used to it. So then when you're not working, so I mean, I've on the few projects that are going on, I've managed to get extra days on those and help out. So, you know, like I'm keeping my head above water barely. Um, but then I also have turned again hindsight wonderful thing. There's also a film project that I've been waiting to hear on for months that still might not even happen, like I might not even have a position on it. That keeps getting pushed.
It just seems there's so much uncertainty, you know, in the industry, you know.
um there's there was a job abroad that I turned down because at the time I didn't want to do 5 months in Malta. um
Seriously, you turned down 5 months in Malta. What is wrong with you?
I okay, right, let me explain that one. So I have done jobs abroad before for a very long time, like we're talking months, and it's very isolating. It's I mean, granted, the one I did that was really long away was during COVID, but it's a massive chunk of your life to give away to a project that you are not like you're just a cog in the wheel. Like no, nobody cares about you, you're replaceable instantly. So I always said, and I had like massive life changes during that job, so I always said if I'm going away again, I'll quite happily, if a job is like got like a little month excursion away, sure, fine, great. But I said if it's going to be 5 6 months away, it's got to be somewhere I really want to go. It's got to be really well paid, and it's got to be for a project that I really, really am passionate about. Because to give that much of your, everyone's like, oh, it's so glamorous, you get to go here, there, and no, it's so lonely. Like it's so lonely. Yeah, granted, you'll be out there with hopefully some of your friends. But there's no guarantee. There's no guarantee you'll know the crew. There's no guarantee you'll know anyone there. Um, it's it is really lonely. So you've got to be in a really good headspace to do that. The industry is lonely as hell. Like you you commit your whole life to that project when you're on it. I do a lot of like full contracts with main actors and stuff like that, and you're so involved. It's so consuming that you get up at whatever o'clock in the morning, 3 4 o'clock in the morning, you're at work, you're at the studio or location all day. You could be out in the rain for 12, 13 hours. You're basically looking after somebody else all day. So you can't not be switched on that day. Like you've got to be on it at all times. Hopefully you're working with someone wonderful and maybe you do have a little bad day and they're like, okay, it's fine. As long as you do your job, we don't have to chat all day. But you've got to leave your shit at the door and be on it all day looking after somebody else. And makeup are such a big part of, working with cast and making sure like you're the first people they see in the morning and you're the last people they see at night. So if they come in a bad mood or they're upset or they're tired, you've got to get them pepped. So by the time they're on that set, they're ready to go. And it and then you've got to keep on it all day. I'd say we're like emotional fluffers.
Wow, that must be soul destroying.
Yeah.
I mean, to keep your own emotions in check is one thing, but then to take on somebody else's that might not be having a great day or whatever, it's a lot of responsibility, isn't it, for the industry that you're in?
I mean, it's very actor dependent, scenario dependent.
How'd you cope?
I'm a good listener. So sometimes you just got to let them, you know, not necessarily get involved or that kind of thing. I do pride myself on being quite funny. That helps. I've got a very dry sense of humor. Um, don't really take any shit. So, it's but you got like it's one of it's a working relationship, and I think as well lines do get blurred when you work that closely with someone. And I think a lot of the time it's like, yeah, I'm in Thailand with this actress or whatever, and we're working you're not best friends.
I think that's probably one of the misconceptions, isn't it? I mean, you hit the nail on the head. You're not best friends. You're there to do the job, and you're there to sort them out. Do you ever keep in contact with any of the actors or actresses that you've taken care of?
I try. Don't get me wrong. Like I still chat to some people now. Like we all follow each other on Instagram. You send the occasional message. Da da da. These people aren't your best friends. They're not your friends. We're working, and I take pride in my job that I do like to look after people, and I do maybe go the extra mile to make sure they're okay during the day, because like you said, if they are, like, you do have to keep them in that mindset, in that mood, and this, that, and the other. And if you can make their life easier, they're the ones that have got to turn it on all day. I'm sat at a monitor, you know, I'm sat with my iced coffee, watching the monitor, doing my continuity. They've got to be on it all day. So if I can make that easier in any way, shape, or form, then I will. And also it just, that working relationship works both ways. So, if I can do a little bit extra for them, then, sometimes if I've got a director or a first assistant director that won't let me go into safe continuity, like the actress's hair was like this, but halfway through the take, she's gone like that and it doesn't match. Like, sometimes if you have a good relationship with someone, I'd be like, look, they're not letting me in. Can you just reset yourself at the beginning? And you know what I mean? So it's just little things like getting those relationships with people and, helping each other out.
I did not realise that when you're on set and like you said, you sat there, you're watching the monitor and everything else, you're actually looking at continuity. I always thought that there was a continuity person, but that's just blown my mind.
Hmm. Yeah, so I think a lot of people think I just turn up, make people look pretty and leave.
And you ever fancied doing a 9 till 5 job?
I would love I would love to do those hours. That would be perfect. But no, so we are usually first in. That can be anything from 4 o'clock in the morning, maybe earlier. I've been doing some 3:30s recently. We go in, we set up, we get them ready. They then go to costume. They then, so I mean, a makeup call can be anything from 20 minutes to 2.5 hours, depending what you're doing, whether you're doing makeup and hair, whether you're doing wigs, whether there's, we cover tattoos, we put tattoos on, we do, the spectrum of what we can do in a morning is wild. And sometimes when you think, oh, she's just had a cute little makeup done, maybe I've done like a lymphatic drainage massage in someone's face, I've covered their tattoos, I've done body makeup, I've done tan, I've done, you know what I mean? Like you can be in there for hours. Like the stuff that people don't see in the makeup trailer is crazy. Like some of the stuff like we get done in the morning. So by the time they leave us, the actors could have been there for hours already. They go to set, they rehearse. So we watch rehearsals. So they'll do like actor blocking and then they'll do crew shows where we go and we go, right, so they're going to start with this setup, then this, that, and the other. So then you watch the action and you're thinking, right, okay, so she's coming through this door, but we shot the outside of that door maybe 3 weeks ago. So then I'm going, right, I'll go back to my notes and we have all these apps and stuff now where we can put in screenshots of the monitor and I'm like, right, okay, so her hair was set this specific way when she came through, or maybe it was raining outside. So right, okay, I need to wet her hair then so it looks like so she's not come through the door like completely dry. Um, so there's a lot of that we do read the scripts beforehand, which is another thing people don't realize. We break the scripts down per character. So we know but you basically have to know it inside out and you have to be on it with any kind of changes or um obviously then with this you work then with the script supervisors breakdown to know if so obviously, like, there's timings between scenes and stuff like that. So obviously, like, it could be day one, and then by the time you see them next, it could be 3 weeks later. So how is that going to affect, I don't know, a guy's facial hair, like this kind of thing. So then obviously we're on it with continuity haircuts, facial hair. It yeah, it's the job is huge. Like the stuff you have to cover is wild, but that's why I love it because it's so involved that there's never not anything to do. You're always doing something, and then you're thinking, right, okay, now, so what are we filming tomorrow? Have we already shot the continuity for that before? Like, is it a new look? Are they going to be crying in this scene? Are they going to be, I don't know, running through a forest? And then obviously you have the elements. So maybe sometimes they run through and a twig's in their hair, and it's like, right, okay, now I've got to find that twig and match it every time. So, you know, yeah, it's very, very involved, but I love it so much and just getting so involved.
Knowing what you've been through as a trainee, and a graduate and everything else, what advice could you actually give to somebody that's looking to come into the industry? Because it's not all roses, clearly. I mean, I'm just absolutely gobsmacked with the amount of work that you do within hair and makeup. I mean, it's goodness me.
So, I mean, I think as a well, they don't do unpaid work experience anymore. So, like, nobody should be working for free in TV and film. Um, so a trainee, I think, because obviously with TV and film as well, you're working anything from sort of modern day BBC dramas, which have no money, to major motion pictures, which have so much money. I think sort of like standard trainee rate is anything from maybe £100 a day to 140, something like that. But that's like your base.
Is that all? I mean, I've got to be honest with you. I thought things would be a lot higher, because I mean, you spent all that time and all that effort training, and then you find you're on, well, was it minimum wage? That's crazy.
I think so. Yeah. So, well, that's a whole other thing. So obviously there are the standard rates. Some people work to them, some people don't. Um, some people like to just make it up as they go along, and we just go, okay, whatever. Yeah, you know. I think anyway, I'll have to double check that one, but as far as I'm aware, it's around that. And I mean, I remember when I did it, it was like 50, 60 quid a day, and I thought I was loaded.
Yeah, but back then, I mean, that was a lot of money, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think I worked out the other day that it's like 10 years now since I did my first like TV experience. Yeah.
One of the big things for
Yeah.
me is, when you're going out into the big wide world and you start to get the jobs and everything else, contracts. contracts are so important, aren't they? I mean, you know,
Contracts, I mean, usually with any TV or film production, you will always have a contract, whether that's a full-time contract or even a daily contract. So even if you go on to something for a day, it you will always have one. If you don't have one, I would be alarmed. Um, but again, have I ever read one? No. Um, but again, there's a lot of things now in the industry where everything's sort of digital. So you'll get deal memos, which basically state your rate, your overtime, any sort of like additional extras that you're going to get throughout the day, any overtime rates, any night payments. The way the industry is paid, especially in TV and film, is a minefield. It's crazy. All the different little bits and bobs that you can miss or not know. But you would hope that you'd be on a production where the supervisors or designers could help you with that and understand it and explain it, because it is crazy. But you would usually get it on, there's a couple of things called like Crew Start or Team Engine, where you basically get like a starter pack, and it will explain your rate, your overtime, and then you basically accept it. And within your acceptance, there'll be like NDAs, there'll be harassment things. I mean, you can read them, of course, but it will usually come in like a pack, and I just click sign, 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 sign. But that's usually because they're all the same. They're all the same now, until it becomes a problem, and then I'm like, oh, did I sign? Oh, yeah, no, I signed that. Okay, oops, yeah, fine, yep, yeah, yeah.
do you know what? Listening to you just run through this, as you've gone through over the time, it's not an easy job, is it? I mean, why on earth anybody would want to do it and think that it's glamorous? And yet there's all these pitfalls and all these, I don't know. I mean, it's crazy.
It's really tough. It's very, very tough, and you do have to be made of stern stuff, and working your way up can be really, really, I don't want to put anyone off. There's some not nice people out there, and you've just gotta keep going. That's all I can say. Just work really hard. And if you want it, it's incredible. It's such a rewarding job if you can get to the stage where, like I would say, I'm quite lucky now that I get to work on some incredible projects with some incredible people, and just to have that creative process with other departments, and working with incredible Oscar-winning actors, and this, that, and just the even like the production value and directors and stuff like that is so rewarding. And like some of the people you get to meet and make friends with along the way is so great, but it does come at a price. There's no work-life balance. You're away all the time. You're constantly chasing the next job. Like even now I get people saying, "Oh, you're always busy. Like you're always doing so well. You're always working." I've barely worked since September. Um, this is the longest I've not had a contract for. Um, and granted, yes, I could have had one. Was that the wrong decision? Maybe. Um, but also I will put myself out there. Like I've been working on some incredible projects as a daily, just going in and out of um, other bits that are going on. So, it's tough, but it is worth it. It is worth it. And also like you've just got to be prepared to always be learning something new and always striving to be better. And there's always something you don't know.
Well, now, look,
So,
we've actually come to the end of the show. Sadly, you've just opened my eyes completely. I've got a different view and perspective on hair and
yeah.
makeup. It's a lot more than that. But you know what? I mean, like you said, Joe, I mean, you've got some interesting projects coming up. I'd like you to come back. I'd like you to talk to us more. But for now, Nat, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me. It's been lovely.
Oh my goodness, be careful what you wish for. Hair and makeup. Oh, there's more to that job than meets the eye. Also, you've got to think about, Nat was talking about dailies. Dailies is working one day. If you're not getting those contracts, you've got to find that work every single day. And as she says, the money is fantastic. But you've got to remember, guys, you've got to be able to put it away and save for a rainy day. Next up, James Fry on Backstage Goss. And he takes us into the world of the camp entertainers. The guys that sing, they dance, they do everything, they run around and they wear a little red coat or a little yellow coat. Or a little blue coat. That's next on Backstage Goss.